High school sweethearts are overrated.
I remember you having a very lovely high school romance.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Becca's coming home for Christmas.
Can't believe it's been 3 years.
You can't be around Becca because it's too hard for you.
Don't be ridiculous. She's just my childhood best friend.
She actually asked me to direct the show this year.
Mind your way up here?
Not at all. I'm happy you're here.
You are a Broadway star. I'm a small town bar owner.
I bet you she didn't even tell you about the offers from Hollywood.
We're just on different paths.
I came back here to be with you.
Christmas all the way. I really love Christmas. Halloween is a second. Thanksgiving is a weird one because I feel like, I don't know, it's so close to Christmas that sadly my family has kind of had to, we just haven't gone together for Thanksgiving because flights are so expensive and everyone's work schedule. And in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we're gonna fly out for Christmas anyway. So, but I love Christmas. We have so many family traditions and so many things that I personally love doing. So definitely no brainer. It's Christmas.
Christmas, it feels like the air sparkles. I don't know how to be unhappy during Christmas time. I think when I was a kid, because everybody just gathered in a really big family and cooked and, all the standard things. And I just have a, dear place in my heart for it.
I would have to pick Tennessee, which is so surprising. And I would have picked New York if I was in my 20s. I love LA, but it often stresses me out. And I feel like Tennessee, Nashville specifically, has such a good balance of family and home life and appreciation for family and home life, but also a good balance of work ethic. For example, if I do a writing session for music in LA, we'll start at 10 a.m. and go till 9 at night. And if I do something in Nashville, if I'm in a recording session, everyone wants to start at 10 and be home by 4 so they can have dinner with their families. And I'm not saying that LA doesn't care about family life, because of course that's not true, but that's just been my experience. So I don't know.
New York. It's like New York and LA for completely different reasons. I would like to live in New York again because I went to school there for about 3 years. And I still have a lot of really good friends up there. I would like to live up there for a little while working on a project specifically. And I probably said New York because I miss it so much right now. I have my eyes on a project that's gonna start up shortly there. So that's probably the other reason. But I mean, LA has become home. I feel like I have a community and a family here. But I know that I could develop the exact same thing in New York. And, I wouldn't be driving as much. So that could be a nice change. It's a really hard question to answer, but definitely not Texas. Whataburger. Yep. Jalapeno bacon cheeseburger. And I think they have the best fries. But in all fairness, I have yet to have Shake Shack. Yeah, I know.
And out, hands down. I have not had Shake Shack, and I have not had Whataburger. So I guess it's kind of a bad. I guess I'm not allowed to answer that question. I have some work to do.
I'll do it just so I can have a better answer to this question if somebody asks me again.
I like Rachel. I don't know, Phoebe gets a little too woo-woo for me sometimes, and Monica's a little too intense, and I feel like Rachel's just a happy medium of the both.
I didn't watch a lot of Friends, but definitely Phoebe. I mean, she was the most interesting to me. She always did her own thing. From what I recall, she was never super focused on a love interest, right? It was normally Monica and Rachel. And I think without knowing it, you know, like subconsciously, I really, one, probably drifted more towards Phoebe because part of her journey wasn't about, you know, dating as a hetero person maybe, but also she was just more entertaining. Like if I were going to be friends with any of them, I would want to be Phoebe's friend, you know? So, because I feel like you could take notes on how to live, you know, carefree from Phoebe. Also, Lisa Kudrow is brilliant, like literally brilliant. So, duh.
My first thought goes to Joey, but then I don't know. I think I need a little bit more emotional intelligence. So I'd have to go with Ross.
See, I just like the goofy ones, I guess. I feel like I trust them more because they're more upfront, like, right? They're not hiding anything. I mean, I guess maybe Joey does at some point, but I think when I was young, he annoyed me, but I didn't really like the other guys either. So now in hindsight, I'm like, oh no, Joey, you know, because I'm a huge dork as well. I have no game. So, but yeah, so I guess Joey.
I'm sorry. I just feel like for me to give somebody dating advice right now is a joke. That's how amazing my dating life is going. Okay, so I was never a dating app person until COVID. COVID was the first time I ever got on dating apps. And I must say, it's kind of like going to a thrift store. You really have to like seed through the junk to find like that awesome vintage sweater. But it takes a lot of time and effort, and it's really difficult. And oftentimes I'll just give up and leave the store. I honestly still don't love dating apps, but I understand them. And I think that the pros of dating apps are that you can date people outside of who you would normally date. For example, I date and have tended to date, is that the right grammar? A lot of musicians, because I would meet people on tour or I would meet them in a writing session or in the studio. So I would say a good handful of my relationships have been musicians, but I think it would be fun and interesting to date somebody that's outside of music. And honestly, a lot of our arguments were about music. So maybe it would be nice to date a lawyer or an accountant or a school teacher or something. So I think that's a great prop of dating apps. Of course, in my romantic rom-com head, I would love a good meet cute. I think whenever I hear someone else's story of how they met someone, it's just so romantic and so wonderful. But I think the best way that I've met people is through work experiences, which luckily I have a lot of different departments where I work, so I don't go to the same office and kind of know all the same people. So I've been kind of lucky in that area. Good luck, everyone.
I've tried the dating apps and I've tried queer ones, as well as not queer ones, and it just makes me feel icky. I don't judge them by any means. I know they work for a lot of people and a lot of people have found happiness and partners through that. But anytime, because I've tried them, and I think the longest time I lasted on one was somewhat recently, and that was maybe 2 months. I'm just such an energetic person, and it very much is, it's who the person is, not what they say about themselves necessarily. And also it feels like trading cards, you know, like I'm looking at somebody's, and humans aren't cards. They're humans. They're so much more dynamic than a screen. And I think that's what I'm attracted to, is who someone is and like how dynamic they are and their charisma and how they literally carry themselves physically, and because that tells you so much about a person. So organically, but as a non-binary queer person, that's really hard. Because I've gotten, on occasion you get someone who's kind of looking for an experiment, whether or not they know it. And that can be really, really painful in the long run. So I want to branch outside of my community in order to just meet new people in general. But, you know, it makes it kind of hard because you're just kind of shooting in the dark, like 9 out of 10 times, or like crossing your fingers. And normally that's how it goes. So organically is ideal, but it's also probably the most difficult.
Somebody took me to a Broadway show for a date, especially early on. I would just fall apart. I would marry that person. I'm down for a good dive bar. I always like somewhere that you can kind of escape quickly if things are going badly. But I'm big on chivalry too. I like somebody to ask where you're coming from and pick a location that's not, you know, an hour away from you, especially in LA with traffic, it can get gnarly. Somebody who will pick up the tab and open your door. I mean, I grew up in Utah, I'm very old school. Granted, pick up the tab. You don't have to go to a nice place. It can be a dive bar, it can be a taco truck. It's more about the sentiment of like generosity and like, I'm taking you out. And it's just a nice gesture, I think. And, you know, I'll pick up the second date.
It would be kind of cool to do like a Broadway or theater followed by a dive bar. Because that's a shift, right? Because then you get to talk about it in a really relaxed environment. But not necessarily, not as a first date. But I'm also like a really big fan of like nice meals and nice wine. I think because I like grew up around like a kitchen table, I find a lot of connection in sharing something like that. One thing I will say is not a hike. Like, come on, Los Angeles. Do not ask me to go on one more hike to get to know you. Because like, I'm not even looking at you, right? I'm looking forward, like going up a hill. I'm self-conscious about, am I breathing too hard right now? Like, did I wear the right shoes? What shoes are they gonna wear? I'm gonna wear my Docs because I can hike in them, but they're probably gonna wear tennis shoes. Yeah, I think anywhere that, I think I do like the theater and the dive bar situation to a degree, simply because also there's a nice tension, you know, in the dark sitting next to somebody, and you can feel that out really quickly too if it works. But in dissecting and discussing, you know, the show or the concert or whatever it was that you went to, the movie, I find that like to be a very dynamic conversation. And if I can connect with somebody in that type of conversation, then I know we're probably good.
Oh man. I need to think of them. I kind of just crush on everybody a little bit.
Well, this is on the nose, but you know, I'm a queer of the, you know, early millennium. I've always been obsessed with Angie. That's all I have to say, right? Angelina Jolie. Can't help it. If no one has ever seen Gia, I suggest it. Also, she kind of terrifies me, and I think that's really hot. So that's one.
I don't even know his name, but he's the lead in Man from Nowhere. That's one of my favorite movies. It's a Korean film. And every time I see him and there's a scene where he's like buzzing his head, and I am just all about it.
God, this is so weird. I think because I just put it out of my mind. My first girl dream was Keira Knightley. So.
Who else? I just watched The Old Guard. Charlize. Like her, I mean, she's just amazing in everything that she does. Who else? Third
one. Oh, when I was a kid, probably Kimberly, the Pink Power Ranger.
You know, I like watching. This is going to be the longest interview. I've been watching White Lotus. Anyone there? Not really. I'm sorry. No, I mean, there's lots of attractive people in the White Lotus, but I'm never like, oh, hello. There's something weird about Adrian Brody that I like. His sad face. It's in the last Wes Anderson movie. But he just had, like, there's something about sad eyes that I find very attractive. Joyful, confident. One thing that I love about her that was very different from me is like she always knew what she wanted to do. There was no wavering on her part. It was more of like getting other people to see that she knew what she wanted. She knew who she wanted. And I feel like I'm such an indecisive person, and I would be the person myself who would think, oh, I don't know if I should stay in New York or if I should go to LA and try out film and TV and Hollywood. And she kind of had these big decisions with work and, you know, trying to figure out if she can make the relationship with Sam work out. But there was never any uncertainty with her. She just said, you know, I love this person. I want to stay in New York and do theater. That's what I'm going to do. There was no wavering on her part. And that was really fun to like step into that kind of confidence.
And, you know, the difference between Sam and I is, you know, I wanted to go and get out of my hometown, like go see the world, do all of those things. And Sam is intimidated by that a bit. Sam and I are not dissimilar in a few ways. I have evolved past Sam's pensive nature, I'd like to think. Like I'm a little broody. Sam's broody, but Sam loves Becca so much, and I think it takes a while for Sam to realize that they don't have to sacrifice, you know, who they are or what they love in order to be with the person they love, and still support that person. So I think that's something really, really cool about Sam's arc. And initially, they seem to lack some confidence in themselves. And by the end of it, Becca really pulls that out. So that's great. And I have a certain similarity to that because it took me a long time, probably growing up in Texas as queer, not knowing I was non-binary, going through all of those things. Oddly enough, like, I will be so bold as to say that some aspects of marrying gay, that was the first time I was on set when every single person used my correct pronouns. And so that was incredibly validating and very transformative. So in a certain way, like Andi at the beginning of filming versus Andi at the end of filming, two like same person, but like very evolved very quickly over the course of, you know, a couple weeks filming that story. I learned a lot, you know. A person who helps me dream as big as she does. My safe place, even though I don't want to admit it. My soulmate. The person I want to wake up next to, go to sleep next to, and also the person that I want to watch from afar as she does Becca, because nothing is more beautiful than a person doing what they love and what they're great at. A teammate, partner in crime, someone who knows my heart, and the only person I want to give it to. Love of my life from the first day that, you know, we took a swing at it. Something like that.
Becca would describe Sam as stubborn, very, very stubborn, but also kind, extremely loyal. And once you get their walls down, very, very fun. But yeah, very headstrong and very thoughtful, but because they're so headstrong, and Becca's headstrong in her own way, that's where a lot of the clashing came. Yeah, so Marrying Gay is going to be out on December 1st on Diva Box Office TV, and I think it's coming out on Paramount Plus in the UK shortly after.
First, divaboxoffice.tv. That's where it'll be immediately available. I believe it's $15 to stream. It is being used to launch the service, Diva Box Office. So that will be where you can see it.
You only have 1 month to convince them that they are perfect for each other.
You're just seeing all the reasons that make it hard, but what this town sees is two idiots that have been in love forever and just need to be together already.
And the whole town does not see that. They do?
Duh.